It's the beginning of November, so you know what that means, right? I do a market update for how the real estate market did in October. And I'll tell you, there are some surprises. Stick around. Hi, welcome back. My name's Joe Brown. I'm a real estate agent with Century 21, List with Beggins, located in South Tampa. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. So, as I said at the introduction, there are some surprises. When I pulled the numbers for October, I was surprised. And so I really want to get into this and just talk about what I'm seeing in the trends, okay? So let me put up my handy dandy chart like I always do. And again, the caveat, this is just for the 5 zip codes of South Tampa: 33606, 609, 611, 616, and 33629. Just purely residential. And I look for 2 years, so I'm showing you September and October, just so we can see a 2-month trend. Maybe next week after, I'll show you the quarter, what's happened since June. And I also want to refer you back to my video I did last week, which is where I see the market going, some economic data, because it really ties into these numbers. So let's look here at the active listings, and you can see active listings are staying about the same, 580, 587, something like that. So again, that's good, because if you remember back in January, we were at 200, right? Well, let's not forget, if we go back to January of 20, maybe January of 19, we were at 1,500. So we are still that low inventory, right? Now again, whether inventory is low really depends on the number of buyers. But let's look at this. And to me, this was surprising. New inventory coming on the market. And you can see we're up to 227. Now, again, I keep saying the average, right? If you look historically, we average about 250 homes a month coming on the market. I'll tell you why this number surprises me. Because we hear that there's a market slowdown. And people, if they're locked in at a mortgage rate of 4 or 5, why would they sell their house and get a mortgage at over 6, close to 7%? And so what I had been hearing from other agents is people don't want to sell their home. Well, this is showing just in South Tampa, more people listed their home for sale than in September. Look at days to sell. This is the average. And I want to share some other data with you, but you see, we're still at 1 month. That is very fast, right? My broker, Craig Beggins, who is great, by the way, but Craig said, really, what we've done is gone from a Mach 2 to maybe a Mach 1. It is still a very fast market. Because and I'll get to it later, the months of inventory on the market, if you have 6 months of inventory on the market, it's a balanced market, and you would expect homes to be on the market for 6 months. Well, still, if you're at 1 month of inventory, it's still a seller's market. Prices are going to continue to accelerate. And you see that at this next line, which is median sales price. Well, I didn't talk about sales. Let's look at sales. Sales went up to about 180 homes in October. But look at the median sales price. That really jumped from 585 to 755. And I'll tell you, I was surprised too. Just 33606, which is over Davis Island and then just off the island, their average price is almost $1.3 million, just right there. and that's pretty good, right? About 1.3 million. And so just that one zip code has skewed the median sales price, but still very active, right? I noticed too, 33616, the median sales price is almost $450,000. I remember 2 years ago, it was $250,000. And I said, because of the lack of supply, we're going to see that start to rise. I did not expect it to rise $200,000 in 2 years. This bottom line is very interesting to me, and it's the ratio of, and I changed this, right? Because I used to share with you the ratio of closing price to list price, right? So if I say I'm going to sell my home for $500,000 and you pay me $500,000, it's 100%. However, what we're seeing is homes have reduced what they're asking. So let's say I ask $525,000 for my home. Nobody's showing it. Nobody's making offer. So now I changed the list price to $500,000. So then I have somebody offer $500,000. So that shows I received $100,000 for what I listed my home at. However, what I've shown here is the percent of from my original price, from my $525,000 to what somebody offered. And this is very telling. You see what that is? In September, we were at 95%, 95.5. This past month, we're at 97.8. Well, why is that important? And I shared this several weeks ago, and I'll put a link to it here. With, if you listen to the radio, you read the news, and you hear all these headlines. Home prices are falling, market's going to crash. Well, home prices are falling to 97, right? Almost 98% of the original list price. So are homes really falling? And I talked about that in last week's video, that do I really see, but because from January of 20 until October of 22, home price, the median sales price has gone up 67%. Do I expect a 30% drop? I don't, right? But even a 30% drop puts us where we were in January of 22. And so what are we seeing? Home prices are dropping 2%, almost 3%. So we are still a seller's market. And what I didn't put on this chart is months of inventory. September, we had 4 months of inventory. October, we dropped back to 3 months of inventory because sales has picked up. So 3 months of inventory is still a seller's market. What happens in a seller's market? Prices accelerate. Now, what I said, homes are selling on an average of about 30 days. So prices are still going to accelerate. If you push that out to average days to sell about 60 days, 90 days, prices may still accelerate, but it just takes more time to get there. Now, if you're let's talk to the buyers first, right? If you're buying a home, you might say, Joe, interest rates are 7%. Why would I buy a home now? So first of all, mortgage rates dropped slightly. So last week they were 7.08. Report came out yesterday. It's 6.95. Again, that's really based on credit score. So 6.95, but around 7. I posted on my Facebook page Lawrence Hune, who is the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, projects that we're going to be at a 7% and even higher mortgage rate for the next couple years, right? So for those buyers who say, I'm going to wait for the mortgage rates to come down, well, listen, you may have to wait for a while, right? And while you're waiting, you're renting, and rent is expected to outpace inflation over the next couple of years, right? So you may get a raise at work, but have to pay more for rent. So if you can afford the down payment, closing costs, and all that, right? If you can afford to do that, then it's worth your while to buy a house now. And then if mortgage rates do come down, let's say in 3 years or 4 years, the projection is you'll have equity in your home and you can refinance at that time, right? If you're selling your home, right? And again, so why would somebody want to sell their home now, right? If you're selling your home just to move to another home, on one hand, that doesn't make sense if you're going to pay a higher interest rate. If you're selling your home because you're moving out of Florida, makes perfect sense, right? If you're being relocated, if you're downsizing, maybe your family situation has changed. You're newlyweds and now you have a set of triplets. You need a bigger house. So all those factors, yes, I understand. But you also have to understand what I just said. There are buyers who want to lock in the rate now, thinking it's going to go higher, right? So if the rate right now is 6.95 and we project in 2 months at maybe 7.2, right? They want to lock in lower. So it's still that FOMO, fear of missing out. Well, what's the saying? When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. So when's the second best time? Now, right? So it's that fear of missing out. Do it now. You can refinance if you're a buyer. As a seller, understand buyers are looking for homes now. If they're quality homes priced right. Well, we're still seeing some greed on the seller side, thinking the market is what it was 5 months ago, 6 months ago, where homes were flying off the market over asking price. And that truly is not the case now, right? In some instances, you may find that, but generally it's not. So listen, it's still a robust market. These numbers that I shared with you surprised me because I really thought we would have fewer sales, fewer homes new to the market. We would have a wider gap on the ratio between closing price and original price. And I thought the month supply of inventory would have increased. So these numbers are a surprise to me. If they're a surprise to you, let me know. Leave me a comment below. I appreciate the comments I received on my last video. Keep them coming. But as I say, share this video, share this link with people you know who are considering selling, considering buying. Listen, I want to be your trusted advisor. I am a South Tampa expert, right? So share this video. Share my contact information. You can find it at my website, joebrownc21.com. Call me. Let's sit down and talk. There's no obligation, right? But we'll talk to see what avenue is best for you if you're buying or selling, right? So listen, I love sharing this information with you because South Tampa, Florida living is awesome.